evening, everyone. Welcome to the Ag Up Podcast. I'm Terry Parker, your moderator and guide on this journey of empowering agricultural entrepreneurs. As the Chief Operations Officer of Agripreneurs, with a background as an environmental engineer and science educator, I bring a unique perspective on sustainability, innovation, and education to the table. I am honored to introduce today's host, Kieran Simmons, the founder and CEO of Agripreneurs, and of course, her biggest role to date, my mother. With over 20 years of leadership experience, Kieran has dedicated her life to advocating for education, social justice, and economic opportunity. As a driving force behind agripreneurs, she has helped countless agricultural entrepreneurs secure grants, develop sustainable operations, and build thriving businesses. A proud member of Georgia Grown, Kieran's work includes partnering with farmers, ranchers, and landowners to strengthen agricultural communities and increase farm and ranch awareness. Her expertise spans business consulting, grant management, public speaking, and agricultural outreach, including her hands on expertise as an agriculture outreach specialist, where she has worked to empower farmers and ranchers across Georgia and beyond. As her daughter, I've seen firsthand her unwavering commitment to creating opportunities for others and building a brighter, more sustainable future for agriculture. Get ready for an insightful, inspiring episode as Kieran leads us in conversations to ag up your agricultural journey.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I am Kieran Simmons, better known as Coach K. I am here to talk to you all about agriculture for a united people. This initiative was started because we started looking at a SWOT analysis of exactly what is going on in our world today. The strengths when it comes to our farmers includes the fact that they've been farming for years. So the majority of our target market is rural area. We focus on farms that are less than 500 acres and up to 2,000 acres or more. You can also be an urban gardener, which means in pots or less than half an acre. So these are the things that we will be focusing on, just building up our ranchers, farmers, and landowners. Here on the Ag Up Podcast, we'll explore strategies, such success stories. We're going to visit old farmers, old civil rights activists that are still alive and have stories to share with us. So there will also be some shows on this channel that include success stories of farmers, ranchers, and landowners. We also want to talk about practical solutions to help you achieve your agricultural goals. We will focus again on industrial hemp, solar, any type of international, state, local markets that we can participate in. So let's get ready to grow, innovate, and transform the future of farming, ranching together. I heard a quote from Jeffrey Hicks. He is a former NARAB president, and he talked about what agriculture was and that it is everywhere in everything. Agriculture is all about planting a seed, one seed, focusing on that. Whatever we plant, if it's a watermelon seed, then we're going to get watermelons. And so we want to focus on growing not just our businesses, but each other. After we plant that seed, it needs time to grow. The good thing about that is that one seed is going to produce many. The harvest should be great. In due season, we shall reap our harvest. So let's dive into today's episode where we're focusing on Janelle Menifee. Can we put up her slide? Just want to give some information about her as well, just so everybody will know who she is and how to get in contact with her.
Janelle Menifee is the visionary founder and CEO of Solar Time USA, a trailblazing company dedicated to revolutionizing the energy landscape through innovative solar solutions with a passion for sustainability and commitment to empowering communities. Janelle opportunities in the ever evolving energy sector. Get ready to be inspired as Janelle shares her journey, insights, and vision for a brighter, more sustainable tomorrow.
Okay. Let's join Janelle right now in studio. Miss Menifee is here with us. Yay!
Welcome, Janelle. How are you doing today?
I'm just fantabulous, dear. How you doing?
I'm wonderful.
Yeah, yes.
So, you have a extensive background. Can you share a little bit about your journey toward founding Solar Time USA and really what inspired you to get into the solar energy sector?
Well, we started this journey in 2014. Me and my mother, Carol Menifee, that's the co-owner of Solar Time USA, and we wanted to say, what is the next level? What can we do in terms of owning a business? Mother's interest is to go to Africa. And she said, I'm just ready to go to Africa. And I said, well, hold on. We need to be able to have a business there. We just can't go to Africa. So we decided to start a solar business. And it's in the beginning phases of solar energy, or at least for our business. It took some time for it to pick up. But now, solar is mainstream and we're just rocking and rolling there.
That's awesome. We love to hear. We love to hear about our Black businesses growing and going back to the motherland. Yes.
And we love that Janelle and her mother are together. Again, as we talk about growing together, generational wealth is very important. Learning to work with our families is first and foremost in taking those advances to generational wealth. If you notice, Janelle and her mother took time out to say, what is the future going to hold for us? And they looked into that and they researched and realized the profitability in solar energy. And we really appreciate Janelle for being here today. So Janelle, can you tell us about what challenges that you might have faced as an entrepreneur in the renewable energy space?
Well,
how did you overcome?
We shall overcome. Let me say that. Well, number one, being a woman and being a minority is it's not an easy experience, okay, to be in this space. So you have to figure out your niche. You have to overpower it. When I'm sad to say in a room with someone that may look, let's just say like this, in this space, it's majority white male, white men that people are used to seeing talk about solar. about 80% of the folks in the industry are white men. The business owners are about 99%, it feels like, at a minimum of 95. So for the small percentage of minority female owners like myself, we have to be different. And so we choose to be very educational and share a lot of information with our clients regarding the installations. So it's really about giving people the ability to properly understand what solar energy is for their business and for their applications. And then number two, um, just staying in contact with them and making sure that we have a good long-term working relationship.
I can definitely see how that works. Being a female engineer myself, I can attest to being in classrooms where literally I was the only Black female engineer. And so just being in that space and overcoming that challenge, you have to get over the gap of being that minority and do above and beyond. And our Black women can attest to how that works in the corporate space in general, just having to see, you know, what we have to overcome to be in those spaces, to be our own, create our own spaces as entrepreneurs. So I love to hear that. So apart from being that Black minority, what sets Solar Time apart from other energy companies?
Again, is the information. You'll be surprised how many companies, they don't educate you. They just want to sell, and then after the sale, deuces, they're out. And we want to stay there as a long-term partner. Walk people through their installation. If they have a problem, if they need any upgrades with their system, or if their system has an issue, there's warranties. There's beautiful warranties on solar equipment. Let me just tell you, it's wonderful. But you got 10 years on the batteries, 10 years on the inverters, 25 years on the solar panels. Yet, if there's a problem, who works through these issues? We do. Okay, so we're your long-term solar partner, and we try to make your experience very unique, warm, fuzzy feeling compared to just let me just say you something and go. Okay, and that's the issue. There's a lot of sales that's going on, but not a lot of long-term, helping you to understand how solar energy will affect your life. Okay, for example, when you look at battery storage, that's a very complicated experience because we're connected to the utility.
Yeah.
Okay, and utility is different compared to developing countries, where electricity issues may be an issue, or if it's even there. With the battery storage, you really have to know, how much energy you're using, or what critical loads are you powering? Are you storing power for? Because if you don't understand that, then your usage can overpower the battery storage system. So that's a scenario where you just can't say, okay, that's it. No, we need to dial down into what's your usage, and then try to make sure that your storage system meets that usage and beyond. And if you're off grid, it's even more important to have that conversation.
Right. So to put it to where everybody else in the real world can understand, because
Sorry.
they probably went
We're
over
getting
everybody's
technical.
head. Right, a little technical, but basically you're saying that you're here to help people understand whenever it's a problem, you can call me. It's not I'm just going to sell you this solar system and get my money and go on by my business, because it's a lot more technical and you know your stuff. So you can tell them what the problem is rather than, oh yeah, no, you just need to buy a whole nother system, because that's what they'll tell you. Oh yeah, now your warranty's up. Now you're gonna have to buy it. And so just being that personable person who also contains that knowledge, I think, is what makes you the beautiful business that you are.
And we just love Solar Time USA. I probably met her back in 2019 on a farm, and I knew right away we needed to connect. Just what I've learned, that 85% of the world has already moved to renewable energies. America is lagging due to the oil and gas industry. But again, we're behind. There's, besides EV charging stations, electric cars, AI, things moving in that direction, America has been dragging their feet. So I think it is very important that you, being a Black woman, say, hey, this is something that is the wave of the future. Do you need to do your research? Yes. Will you know as much as Janelle? No. But again, we put our information up so you can reach out, get some more clarity as we move into a new world with clean energy. So Janelle, if you could just kind of tell us about how solar energy has come from where it is to being into the mainstream.
Oh yes. Well, one thing I always like to say, people talk about the future. The future is now. Right now. Call me right now.
Right.
But moving forward, when we look at where do we come in terms of mankind's relationship with the power and harnessing the power of the sun? Because if you look at plants have been doing this for what? Billions and billions of years. Ever is a long time. Billions of years is even longer. So now it's our turn to understand how to properly use the power of the sun. So you have something that's called photoelectric or photovoltaic solar PV, which just photons into electricity. And then you also have solar thermal, which is actually the most efficient, is solar heat. So you're transferring the photons from the sun into the thermal aspect, solar heating. So we're going to talk about photovoltaics right now. That's been the harnessing of the sun in terms of photovoltaics was actually launched during the space age, okay, or the space rush to the space age.
So that the Cold War type situation.
That's very close to it.
Very close.
Very close. So, we were having the U.S. and Russia, they were going back and forth. Who's going to own the space age? Okay. Well, I'll tell you one thing. You got to have power in space. You can't run off of batteries forever. You can't bring a gas station to outer space. So how the heck are you going to do it? Okay. Well, there has been a long-term interest of tapping into the solar electric effect, okay, and this was it was pioneered by Albert Einstein, okay, and the formula
E equals MC squared.
Yeah, it's close, but it's another weird little
something to that. Okay.
Yeah, it's close enough.
Right.
And so he came up with that concept in 1901 or something like that, and he got the Nobel Peace Prize in 1921. So Albert Einstein came up with photoelectric effect, and then from there, Bell Laboratories made the first solar cell. Okay, I think the efficiency was like 11%. Now the efficiency is up to like 30%, but that's with arsenic compared to boron and phosphorus atoms. So we're technically at like 20-25% efficiency.
They don't know the periodic table, so we're
you understand?
It's
already over
we're here. So
it's always over my head. As much as I may know, yes, Janelle is dives in very deep, and that is again what you want is somebody who you're working with. You want them to be knowledgeable of everything that in that field. And so when she talks about those things and how the world is moving in that direction, and as you can see, since the very beginning of the 1900s, this is a shift that is long overdue that America is making. And of course, this is an ag channel. And so we do want to talk about climate smart ag as well. And just as basic as you can be, Janelle, because you are brilliant. How can solar energy help our farmers improve efficiency, reduce their operational costs?
I will.
How can they apply those things?
I'll also add a little bit on to the previous question that you had, and going into this.
Mm-hmm.
So from the space age, they came up with the solar panels that can operate in space with the space stations. But then, wherever technologies are developed for above extraterrestrial, so will be developed for utilized below for terrestrial or Earth technologies. So about 1960s, that's when solar started becoming commercialized, and they were using this for more off-grid scenarios like in buoys and
What is an buoy?
A buoy. What's a buoy?
A buoy. It's like whatever measuring device they have, like out there in the ocean. They were using batteries, but now they start using solar panels.
Mm-hmm.
That was better. Lighthouses, and railroad tracks, and then also guess what? Farmers start using solar technology because it's out there and
In the middle of nowhere.
in the middle of nowhere, child.
Hardly any trees.
I'm telling you, and this is the best time to use solar. And so then into 1970s, 80s, it started to get more and more commercialized. And then 1990s, 2000s, it became more and more mainstream. And what's really pushing the solar energy movement now is good financing. The equipment has become just dynamic. And this is the best time, especially with the government incentives, to go solar. So in terms of agriculture, there's something called climate smart ag. And the three pillars are helping the farmer to become more efficient with their farming operations. Number two, to reduce the carbon monoxide out of their operations. And number three, how to make the farm more cash flow better. Okay, so with climate smart ag, you won't believe how costly hydrocarbons are, or oil and gas. So gasoline, diesel powered vehicles or operations, or
I guess
generators.
tractors and stuff, and warehouses and factories, whatever you power in these factories, they're usually using like gas and stuff.
Gasoline, diesel, generators, stuff like that. If they can replace that with solar, if they can replace that with more energy efficiency applications without using stuff that uses gas, if it can use electric, and be powered by solar, that would be a great opportunity for a facility to
save money.
Save money long term. And then you have government incentives. USDA has a REAP grant that gives you 50% tax credits. 50% grant that you don't have to pay back. It's a reimbursement grant, but still, everybody like money, they don't have to pay back.
Right.
Yeah, and the REAP grant is the Rural Energy for America program that she is referring to. And again, when we're talking about making farms more efficient and run better, and these farmers now have the recognizing that big tractors are impacting the soil. So we don't need tractors so big that, again, they're affecting the flow of water, irrigation, things of that nature. So even though we're talking about electric tractors, they are not as big, but again, they are more efficient. They are not as heavy as those big John Deere tractors or New Holland. So we definitely do want to look at electric powered tractors, things of that nature, so that we can make sure that, again, we're not impacting the soil. So moving in that direction is positive, when we're talking about just being more efficient on the farm, reducing operational costs. If you own chicken houses, I mean, oh my God, so we could put 30,000 chickens in the chicken house. Those things have to be heated. It's just a number of things why we definitely want to get into climate smart ag for our farmers and ranchers and landowners. She talked about buoys, which are out in the sea. They kind of keep up with the temperature and the current flow. And so things that have no way to connect to electricity is another reason why in rural areas, solar energy is so important. We do want to talk about carbon credits and how does solar energy play in reducing carbon emissions? How can farmers benefit from the carbon credits, Janelle?
Well, I'm gonna tell you something. Carbon credits is something in which, let's say, you have a high carbon producer, and then a scenario where it's a low carbon setup, okay, or no carbon. So
what would that be? What is a high carbon?
Well,
let's say
if it's a manufacturer, for example, you wouldn't even believe it. Cruise liners.
Mm-hmm.
They utilize a nice amount of diesel in their operations. So they've bought carbon credits to offset their carbon emissions. So that pushes, let's say, a farmer or a solar farm that's, not putting any carbon dioxide in the air. They have what you call carbon credits. And someone who's an emitter, like a cruise liner, will buy those carbon credits and offset their, carbon costs and all that stuff. That's a little bit more technical. That's a little bit over my brow, but that's basically how that's set up.
Well, my understanding, and I'm just pulling from Europe, I don't even quite understand Bitcoin, even though I have Cash App on my phone. So carbon credit currency is, again, farmers would have big bank because of the photosynthetic process of them utilizing and putting out carbon.
I can go into that. So photosynthesis, you got
we want people to understand.
Look, the plants take in carbon dioxide. We breathe out carbon dioxide. So basically, the plants are going to offset the carbon dioxide that's coming into the air because that's what they take in and they put out oxygen.
And they are, yes. So carbon credits is, let's say, this table or chair, this plant here was made by plastic. And let's say we use bio-waste material or even maybe industrial hemp to make the same product. The cost is going to be cheaper because we are using biomaterials. So the difference in the original cost and what it costs now that we're using biomaterials is carbon credit. Some kind of way that equates to money, the difference, and people are selling those credits. And carbon credit currency is on the way. It is not over here in America because we're behind. But again, for those who want to get into the market, look into carbon credit currency. Also, there are farms who have successfully integrated solar solutions. Janelle, have you any insight on that?
Yeah. One thing that's wonderful is that, solar comes with savings, okay? And developing countries that we've worked with, people say, well, why are people going solar in the United States? You guys have a good grid. But yes, our grid is good, our electricity is good, but it's getting too expensive. And then for farming operations, they can offset their costs through owning their own electricity. So let's talk about renting your electricity compared to owning your electricity. It's just like renting your house compared to owning your house, or renting the car compared to owning the car. When you own something, you have a better chance of saving your income, and it turns into an investment tool for your own self, okay? So when you're renting electricity from utility, yes, there's a lot of infrastructure there that you don't have to worry about. But then as time goes on, sad to say, there are a lot of these policies and the legislations is constantly being passed. If you're not, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu, okay? And so there's a lot of great organizations that try to act as a buffer between, these big government entities, your PSC, Georgia Public Service Commission, and your utilities. We have Georgia Power, Georgia EMC, the MEAGs, um, Municipal Association of Georgia, and other entities that control your power, generate your power, but then they throw their costs over on you. The building of that nuclear plant, that was on us, and we paid about $55 million per year for that nuclear plant. Did you as a whole whole state? Did anybody give us any dividends for that? No.
How much money can we get in farming? Or how many acres?
Hold on. So if you add this project up, it took multiple years for this project to be built. So you add up $55 million times several years and see how much money those utilities put into their pocket. Okay, get me going. There's a lot more. But when you own your electricity, you don't have to deal with none of them, okay? Because that's yours. And as the rate of electricity go up, your electricity cost stays at a certain rate. If it's financed, it stays at a certain rate. If you pay cash, then you just own it. You have a 30% tax credit, 50% grant with the REAP grant. That's 80% right there, and you only pay 20%, believe it or not. So it behooves people to go solar.
Right. But behoove means that it's in your best interest. I told it to my kids the other day. It will behoove you to take these notes because I'm giving you the answer. But that's not here nor there. I wanted to talk about like nuclear energy and how it's like it's not safe. Like it in some situations it could, like the nuclear power plants could explode or whatever the case may be. It's like a dangerous situation and people don't even have the capacity to advocate to say, I don't want to use nuclear energy in my neighborhood, in my communities. And it's a lot of disadvantaged communities where they're building these power plants. And so in the off chance that not only that happens or something along the lines of the infrastructure goes down, or that because there is a monopoly on the energy, those companies shut down or whatever happens, we're all SOL.
Well, let's talk about nuclear just for a millisecond. Give me a few sentences. So look at Chernobyl, okay? They were technically doing a safety test that just went terribly wrong. And people can't even live in that area right now for thousands and thousands or even millions of years. That place is off limits, okay? And the European Union and others have put so much money to try to keep the nuclear material from spreading. If you get a chance, look up and video nuclear and see how nuclear poisoning is just horrible for your body, and it just doesn't stop. Around nuclear facilities, there's water. They use nuclear to cool. They use water to cool nuclear facilities. Sometimes it leaks. So if it leaks into a community, then people are being exposed. Mm-hmm. In Russia, there's a nuclear plant that just steadily leaks. And it leaks into a river and then a lake. That lake is the most toxic lake in that freaking Europe, I guess. The whole world, I guess. It's terrible. So nuclear, they say is a clean energy. No, it cannot have any emissions. You can not have any emissions of nuclear radiation, because if it does, your body, living beings cannot recover from it because it breaks down the molecular molecules in your cells and your tissues. Dude, just say no.
It's a whole science experiment going on.
I'm gonna let them kind of wheel that back in some kind of way back to agriculture. Let's go there.
Like I remember just like having those conversations about different forms of energy and non-renewable versus renewable energy, and we're looking at like what's the opportunity cost of using nuclear energy versus using solar energy. And I just feel like They just really want to do whatever makes the most money for them. And it's not about the people who are in those areas. It's not about us. So that's why we have to advocate for ourselves and tell ourselves, okay, this is what we need to be doing as a community to make sure that we're safe, that to make sure that our children's food isn't being poisoned, their water isn't being toxified, and how can we make the change to do that? Because nobody else is going to come and save us. Nobody else is going to say, hey, we're going to change your energy. No, that takes too much money to change up the infrastructure, to build new power plants, and like $55 million a year to build a different power plant, when we do know that the sun is on every day by the grace of God. And so we're sitting here with this unlimited energy source, yet we're trying to separate atoms, because that's what nuclear energy is. We're trying to separate the atom, which is the smallest unit of matter, to make it make sense, to cut on the light
and turn the generator.
What it make it make sense.
Think, yeah, and you think that it's more. And when I realized what nuclear energy is, it really disappointed me so much, because all it is heat and steam to turn a generator, turn a turbine to create electricity. And see what solar does. So let's look at two different means of energy infrastructure. Just give me a second. Energy infrastructure. You have centralized energy generation, and then you have distributed energy distribution. Okay. So a centralized model is a nuclear plant, is a gas-fired plant, is a coal-fired plant, is a solar plant, solar farm type of plant. So these are big projects where, you generate, megawatts, even maybe a gigawatt or two, and then you have the transmission line infrastructure, or the big power lines that you see crossing the interstate or whatever. And that electricity is sent all the way down to a substation. And then from a substation, it goes into distribution line networks. And you see these distribution lines, or maybe even they're underground, and they come to
power lines on the street.
Power lines on the street,
okay.
And they come into your house. They come into the business. They come into this facility. That's where that comes from. But when you're talking about solar, that's distributed. That's localized. That's on your house.
That's on your farm.
That's on your farm. That's on the farm, coach.
Thank you. Back to the farm.
There we go.
I like that. Farmer, rancher, landowners. And then we still need to talk about, even as a community, how if we decided to, again, start another Black Wall Street, start our own communities, how would we provide an energy source? So this information is very important. We do have a lot of options out there in front of us as far as what should we be using for our energy source. And so I'm glad that you're here. So with people, because we're not just talking to farmers, landowners, and ranchers. We are talking to people who may want to start a community and say, hey, we want to build an agricultural site. How do we provide an energy source for that? So this is very important in that sense. You all may not understand from beginning to end what happens with the solar energy, but we do understand how important it is to cut the lights on, how important it is to push water, pressure. All of those things are very important, and we can do that with solar. I know one of the questions that I hear all the time is, I want to start a solar farm. How do I get money? What is the minimum amount of acreage would I need to do that and make money? What is a profitability acreage? And I can keep it, like you said, and that way I have my own energy, and I can sell it. Or do I want to lease my land altogether for a solar farm?
Thank you for asking that, Coach. I'm here to answer that to the best of my abilities. So it really just depends upon what you want to do. I would say that it would behoove you to lease the land. And then, the most important thing is who's buying the electricity, okay? In terms of who's buying the electricity is the utility, obviously, or it could be an adjacent facility, and you can sell them the electricity through a power purchase agreement. But now, who's going to pay for it? You know, the cost of this system is going to be very high. Um, when you're talking about a solar farm can be like a megawatt to megawatts. It can be up to 100 megawatts. Right? For every 1 megawatt, that's 5 acres. Okay, so you can hook into your distribution line for like right under 2 megawatts. But then
Which
how
is
much?
10 acres.
10 acres. But then how much will the utility pay for? How much will it cost to do that project? That's like maybe close to $2 million worth of that the cost for that project.
And that's 10 acres.
And it's 10 acres.
So if I did 40 acres, we're talking about that times 4.
Yeah, it just depends upon, again, the topography of the land, how much dirt needs to be moved, the and the environmental impact study. Do you have to move some little cute little duckies or little animals?
Is it on protected land? What's the angle of the sun? Do you need to cut down trees to be able to access the solar panels? And what roads do you have to be able to get the transportation to where it goes? It's a lot that goes into.
Yes, transformers, making sure that you're close enough to even push power somewhere.
Transmission lines, substation. You know, do you need to build a substation? You know, so then the project has to be even bigger to recover these type of costs. So, you know, you have to have an expert like myself to go over these costs and the needs there. So we do like an assessment of the potentiality of putting solar on your land. Now, if that's an opportunity, this is great to have your land cash flowing with solar as a lease agreement. I think the easiest way for somebody to get into it is doing a lease agreement with a developer such as yourself, such as myself, and then we partner with investors and get a power purchase agreement with the utility, and then everybody's happy. Then we start building up the facility. Within a year or so, the solar farm facility is built, and then you have your own cash flow. Your cash flow is coming from leasing the land, and that'd be between $1,000 to $1,500 per acre. So if you say 10 acres, that's about up to $15,000 or per year, divided in payments per month. So that's over $1,000 that you're getting per month for leasing 10 acres of land. And that means that's something that you don't have to go out there and do and manage. And the more land you have 500 acres, 100 acres, all that stuff, that works out very well. And, as our population grows, for example, in the state of Georgia, not only do we have strong population growth because of all the manufacturers that's coming, but we got all the manufacturers coming, all these data centers is coming. We have a lot of usage that's going on compared to other states within the union. You look at the Midwest, nothing really going on there. We have other states where things is happening, but we got a lot of wildfires. So, Georgia's a really good location. The sun is shining, and there's a lot of really good things that's happening here in the state. So, but then also you have Alabama. But see, the nuance is that Alabama doesn't have really good solar policies. This is another thing. You have some states you have very good solar policies, and some other states you don't have good solar policies. Mm-hmm. I would say Georgia is like a little bit above the fray, especially in the Southeast. In Florida, they do not allow power purchase agreements as like for PPAs for commercial facilities, mm-hmm. but they do allow solar farm PPAs. Okay, in Alabama, that's just damn difficult. In California, you talking about, it's beautiful. New York's beautiful. Massachusetts is beautiful. So New Jersey's beautiful. I'll just share with you a little bit of thing. I wish we can get the I used to know the name of this portfolio standard something, but is where it's a mandatory for the utility to get power, to have a solar energy, a solar farm, amount on their utility. And so even homeowners and business owners can tap into that, and they have a certificate. They can take that certificate and sell it on some type of market, and get, every time it hits a megawatt hour worth of energy generation, they get $200. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah. Now say that over again.
I think she's saying there's an energy portfolio that basically you have to diversify where you're getting your energy from. And so if companies and people contribute to the diversification of the energy portfolio, then they get paid whenever it reaches the max of, oh, we reach our coal max, so now we're using renewable and now you get a check.
Yeah, it's like if but we don't have that in Georgia. I just want to say that. But if we did, let's say if we're trying to get up to like 2 gigawatts of solar farms,
10 acres.
I'm sorry, as a state,
Okay.
this had to be legislated by the legislature, signed off by the governor. If that ever happens, please, Lord.
The governor can't right now. This is just not part of his platform.
Oh, no.
He is not against anything like that, but right now he's just pushing what he is pushing. And that's not a problem, because again, America is slow about dragging its feet in this area.
It is a problem.
Right. So as you can see, a lot of people want to get into this thing. You really have to be clear. Any projects that you all might want to start, anytime you may have some land and this is something that you want to consider, the location is very important. Don't just think, oh, I could just start a solar farm anywhere. Your land has to be in the right place.
Next to transmission lines.
Yes, and transmission lines have to be near. Environmental studies have to be done on your land. If you apply for the REAP grant in March, it could still take 6 to 9 months again for them to go over everything again that is needed to make sure that your land can sustain solar panels, and it's in a position where other people may be able to use it. It's close enough to transmission lines. There is just a number of check items that you have to go through before you say, hey, I just want to jump into this solar. I want to start some solar farms. I want to do EV charging stations. All of these things are definitely ways for you to make money. And so, Janelle, something you want to add in there?
Yeah. And then when you talking about investors, okay, let's look at a certain scenario from investors. There's not too many investment vehicles that you can tap into people's need for energy like solar. Okay, they can own paper such as a power purchase agreement. Okay, the EV charger setup. I mean, that takes away. We're buying energy from Kuwait and Saudi Arabia. We may be investing in folks that don't even like us. Yeah. And then look, if there's any disruption in the supply chain, then people are waiting for gas, and long lines and all. Gas goes up, God knows when, how, what. But when you're connected to a electrical vehicle charger and you're getting your electricity from solar panels, which is technically electricity is coming from the sun, energy is coming from the sun, and it's free. It is free. You pay for the equipment, but then the rest is free. FREE. That means that, guess what? If you're an investor and people are paying you for the electricity, but then your source is free, it ain't nothing but cash money that's coming in.
So
quick.
People are getting more electric vehicles now, and so they're having to install these EV stations at home, or is it just like plugging into their home? How does that work with as far as investing? Like, okay, do I want to put a solar panel on my house because I have an electric car? Would that be like what you're talking about?
So there's two types of investment. It's you as a consumer, then you as an investor. Okay, so let's take you as a consumer. Okay, if you got an electrical vehicle and you got a home. It just makes all the sense in the world that you solar power your house, you get a battery bank, you get yourself all set up, and then you have your electrical vehicle. You charge your electrical vehicle, okay, which is sold directly from the solar panels, and you're good.
You
Okay,
pay for the equipment.
It don't
pay
gotta go
for
on.
equipment.
It don't go on your light bill, basically.
well, you can put electricity back to utility,
Mhm.
and they don't give you money per se, but they give you credits, But virtually, there's some people that have no electricity bill, and they're pretty much good. We just need to make sure we size our system correctly. So the only time that you would probably need electricity when you're out and about is if you go over your usage during the day with your vehicle.
Mhm.
Okay. So then you may need to go to a local charging station. If your job has a charging station or somewhere to charge, you come back home, you're cool. Okay.
Right.
Now, if you're going on a long vacation, you need to make sure you plan out your route. Okay, I'm charging my car here, go so far, charge it here, go there. I'm there, I'm cool. Now I'm gonna go back and charge.
And we do that anyway when we're taking trips, as far as because gas runs out. So it's nothing that I don't think it should be a huge transition for the consumer. So
It's the most
and the
easy.
next person would be as a investor.
Yeah,
Okay.
investor. Okay, now if you're an investor, you're taking an investment position. Well, number one, you have the 30% tax credits. That's a very good initiative. If you're in a rural area, you have your 50% REAP grant. And let's say if you have it's along a highway, and you're able to get a little land or partner with the landowner and say, I want to set up a charging station on this property here. And you say, okay, no problem. And there's so many people that's coming by, they get off, they charge their vehicle, go on, then they get money from that charge. So,
No, like me write that down in my notebook. Find a piece of the strip of land where on a road trip, it ain't a lot of charging stations. I feel like somebody already did that.
Yeah,
Well,
jump right in.
somebody-
there's enough room for that type of
Yeah, because there's
infrastructure.
gas stations next door to each other. Like you see them build a BP next to the Shell, and they still making money.
And they still making money. So,
That's the future where we're going. Is everybody need to get electric cars, and it's crazy because like my whole one of my projects we had to do, and so it was like I was talking about like climate change and the impacts of climate change and how we're sitting here acting like it's not a thing that's going on around us in a consistent basis. And so literally seeing how it's impacting, people in remote areas, like if you're on an island, the water levels are increasing, the hurricanes are getting, stronger due to the heat that is powering these storms. And so when your body increases 2 or 3 degrees, you sick. You got the flu. You can't do nothing. You're out of commission. But when we think about the Earth and the planet increasing 2 or 3 degrees, it's like people aren't aware that it's something that's causing more issues and more problems in everything that we have. And I'm thinking why we haven't been cut off gasoline, and it's simply because they're making too much money. The gas companies, they don't want to change cars. The car companies, the government can tell the car companies right now, you have to stop making gas powered vehicles, and they would have to do it. However, these are the people who are funding the government, and so why would I sit here and take my money away just because I want to save the world? And that's kind of what got me into environmentalization here in the first place. It's like, wow, like why can't we sit here and take initiative of our planet and say this is what we need to do to stop it, and really hold people accountable for what they've done? Because you've made this problem. You've started making more gasoline powered cars, more diesel engines, and yet we can't hold you accountable for marketing an electric vehicle that has the efficiency that we need, that uses solar power, because that would make sense. Why not just make put the solar panel in the car?
Right. Well, I mean, that's true. There's certain, solar panels are very good, let's say in a group. Okay, and there's a lot more engineering to come to make the solar panels more efficient and produce more, to go on the roof, of a car. So you still need that outside input. But I'm 100% with you. We should have the whole, like, a layer of the outside of the car just needs to be solar panels.
Yeah.
Because you're carrying along your gas tank with you.
Pretty much.
That's a revolutionary thought. Come on with me, people.
Yeah, and I also too. I have an engineering background. I attempted biomedical engineering for several years. Mercer University is a awesome school to prepare you for engineering. Tyrion Parker also is a graduate from Mercer University. Anyway, that was 93, 94 that I was there, and we literally were building cars with solar panels. I think I seen one on the road, and I thought it was one of those cars from college that they put the solar panels on, because it was just so square. Again, solar panels have to be angled a certain way and things of that nature, which makes it more difficult to actually make a car full of solar panels. Mm-hmm. But for those who are innovative, they have something called the SBIR, which is Small Business Innovation Research. And they have monies out there for people who actually can come up with ideas. The Department of Energy right now is giving out money for people to come up with ideas around renewable energy. So if you have some ideas of, again, ways that we can change even our biomass into energy, changing how our trucks work so that they can use renewable energy. Diesel is because of the power and that's needed, the combustion. And so, of course, we may even have to re-engineer our equipment and things so that they can use renewable energy sources. So these are ideas that are out there. Do not limit yourself to just what you can research. We are all natural creators. And so this is a good time. This is an area I feel solar energy is definitely the wave of the future. Again, 85% of the world. And the future is now. 85% of the rest of the world is already there. We're lagging. Australia, the whole continent is energy efficient. There are so many places, again, who are already there in the world, and you don't have to drag your feet because America says we're just supporting oil and gas right now. And so for that reason, we can even talk about just moving forward and looking ahead. What do you see the future of solar?
Well, the future of solar is very bright. Pun intended.
Very bright.
And the more people see, the thing is we need financing. You investors who are sitting on the sidelines, come join Solar Time USA and let us help us together develop a proper financing program that can help people go solar at a very effective rate. The reason why is that the cost of financing has jumped and caught itself. Interest rates are way too high to make financing even viable. So people really don't care about owning their solar system. They would agree with a power purchase agreement or a lease program. So the future of solar is finding out some more financing methods that we can get private money in there to help people go solar. Farmers, business owners, residential folks, everybody under the sun, data centers, so on and so forth. They all need to go solar. Okay. And one thing that's beautiful about energy generation, you have to have it. And people have to have a cost-effective means of powering their devices and themselves. And if we don't have that, then you know, the cost of everything is just going to get more and more expensive. And remember how that little orange person said that he was going to make everything more cost effective.
You put a tax on everything.
That's a damn lie. But I'm just saying is that the future of solar will depend upon financing. But in terms of the equipment is going to become more powerful, more cost effective as more and more research and development gets in this industry, more and more manufacturers. That's another thing Solar Time is looking into, is becoming manufacturing. Different little solar applications going on different devices. I don't know if you remember. One thing that I used to do as a little child is get those little solar calculators. You know?
Oh yeah.
And I put my finger
and run it across the top of it.
And then it would go off, and then it would go on, and then it would go off, and then it would go, and it was so fun to me. So that's another idea of figuring out what type of devices that will work with solar equipment. Could chilling systems, what will work with that? So many different type of ideas, and we can share together as a team if we can come together with a good finance group to help offset the cost of solar energy and to make solar more of a diversified application for so many.
That sounds
and
awesome.
then also batteries.
Batteries. Come on, because they
Batteries.
actually, there are a lot of people who are tuned in today, and so yes, we really appreciate your comments. We definitely are going to do some more follow-up here around solar. We're going to teach more again on solar and how to invest. So we really do appreciate you guys leaving us comments, letting us know how we're doing, and we know that this is in a very important topic as we move into the future. So
the question becomes, as our listeners are engaged, how can they partner with Solar Time to get involved in solar opportunities and getting in this clean energy and getting them some of this solar contract money? Like, what can they do with you to get started?
Let me tell you, call me. I'm here for you. But you know, we need to just have a conversation. We can talk, Coach Simmons and us, in terms of you know, what can be done to move into the more of a solar revolution, because the revolution is now. Solar is now. And when you look at you know, developing countries, you know, European, Chinese, I mean, China's literally leading the way in terms of solar energy. And so is the US too. But, you know, we need to take a position of better solar policies, and maybe some of those politicians and legislators that's writing all these policies. We need to have better solar policies so that people can have a better rate of return. These utilities are making billions and billions of dollars, you know, and when you look at underserved communities, socially disadvantaged communities, I've had people call us and they say, oh, my electricity costs are so high. How can I get solar to reduce my costs? Mm-hmm. And I say to them, oh, do you own your house? No, I don't own my house. I rent. So now we need to talk to the landlords about making more energy efficiency homes, you know, with solar and energy efficient upgrades. That's also more cost effective to the landlord. You know, these some landlords, these people are really hurting because they can have an older home that's built with a 1960s, 70s, 50s
HVAC system, and it's not insulated properly, and so all
Windows,
the energy that you're
everything
putting out is coming directly back out. So you blasting the heat in the winter, blasting the AC in the summer, and it's just leaking out the door.
You can feel the air coming through the windows. Hello. So that lets you know that there's a problem, okay? And people's electricity bills be about $300, $400, $500, $600, $700. I've seen them, and it hurts. You know.
I got a question in here. How will y'all apply the formal?
Formula.
formula?
Okay, well,
From the
I
legal
can't
part.
see it. Let me holler it out.
maybe
We got questions in the studio. Yeah, how can you apply what you're talking about? That's what they're saying. Like, how can we apply those different things that you're saying? In my mind, okay, because yeah, we're trying to. We got a YouTube, we got a media person who's awesome. But again, as far as even applying anything that she's talking about, whether it's residential, every situation is different. So it's very important that you reach out to Janelle Menifee. I know a lot of different other people who are participating in these things where you can invest and call them and see what they're due, but they're not as knowledgeable. And so when it comes to knowledge being power, how can I make sure that what you're doing, your specific project, is going to be profitable for you? Then that is something we have to work together toward. There's no quick, easy fix. There's the answer here. Can you even do what Janelle is doing? After you go to school and maybe astrology class, and yeah, you might need to go to the moon first to quite even understand that
she
concept.
said solar system.
Yeah,
I'm
pick
like,
up a
you get your
flower
own solar
and
system.
kind of watch that
Yeah,
whole
sun and
photosynthesis.
planets, girlfriend.
Right, so don't try to take these things into your own hands. Definitely not that. So when we talk about any applications here, when it comes to solar energy, renewable energies, please reach out. Again, our podcast is specific about, again, putting out information that you can use. So if there's any other questions or anything like that around solar, we will be addressing those through this channel. Again, if it don't make money, it don't make sense. So we definitely want to lean toward, how can I save my money? What can we do? We drag our feet about making these big investments, into our lives, when they could be cost efficient later. No different than education. 4 years is going to go by. You have to decide, am I going to make an investment in myself? Am I going to make an investment in what I want to do for my future? Research, read is the main things that we're talking about when we say, what is it that you want to do here in solar? Where is it it's going to work for you, your business, your company? If you're trying to invest, if you're trying to, again, save money, if you're trying to make sure that your operation is more efficient. And again, those carbon credits, learning about that and how to make it work for you. Janelle, is there any other takeaways that you would like to leave with our audience as far as solar is concerned?
Well, one thing is that, reach out to us regarding your interest in solar. There's no question. There's no question that's I got a stupid question. Well, answer that question, please. Our telephone number is 943-226-7199. Repeat, 943-226-7199, and I'm here for you. And Coach and I work very well together, and it's very important that you don't try to figure things out yourself, because this is solar is not it's energy is expensive, okay, and then you don't try to operate on yourself. You go to a doctor. You don't try to build your own house. You go to an architect. You go to a professional when you have a professional need. So come to us and we'll be there for you. And then this solar and agriculture, this climate smart ag is so important, that energy and agricultural developments, which is feeding us, all of us. See, I'm fat. I'm happy. But so we need to make sure that the farmer's energy profile is reduced. So moving forward long term, as all these rates go up, because You know, some people say, we're going to help all the rates go down. They just promise everything. But you look at your electricity bill, I guarantee you, your electricity bill is 5 years ago is lower than it was 5 years ago. You look at it now, 5 years into the future is going to be higher than what it is today. So today is the time that you'll be able to go on and communicate to us, move forward with your solar project while you still have your 30% tax credits, while you still have your 50% REAP grant, 80% off of your system. Okay? So,
And she can help you all around the world. Please do not limit yourself to just Georgia. She just got back from Africa, and so yeah, her passport is hot. And yes, and she can definitely help you wherever you are in the nation. We do have people who have subscribed from Africa, California, Texas, Florida, all over. So we definitely want to make sure that everybody understands that this is some one-stop shopping. Some of our guests that we may have on may be just specific to Georgia, but this is your one-stop shop for solar energy, for all of your questions and your needs. This is somebody I trust. I take her around with me everywhere I go because I understand the importance of where our world is going. Ag Up World is always going to be solar powered, okay? Because that is who we are. So we're going to throw up Janelle's information right quick with her cute face to let you know exactly how to reach out to her. Are we doing that? Let's transition. And so, so this is Janelle's information. Janelle, just holler it out right quick. Your name, your business, your email.
Solar Time USA. Telephone number is 943-226-7199. Repeat, 943-226-7199. And looking forward to solar powering your world. It's time for solar savings. And let's make sure that you're able to make your next investment through solar energy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Janelle.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Janelle. And as we close, I kind of want to review about Agriculture for a United People. This campaign, it is a 6-year campaign that we got started here around compliance and quality control. Again, looking at the marketplace, we are strong as far as our money is concerned as a people, and we are definitely ready to move forward with our passions. Our main issues, though, is what do we look like on paper? So seed wheat bread is something that we'll be talking more about. And when I say that, it's seed is, of course, what we plant, what we do. No, that's fine. Seed is what we plant, what we do. You can come back to me. And basically, wheat is the harvest. So our farmers and ranchers, we're real good with cultivating to the harvest. Our problem is that we never get to the bread, which is the processing. Trying to make sure that we have value-added products, that we have our packaging in place, our LLCs. So our whole campaign, again, is about what you look like on paper. Agriculture for a United People is about planting, growing, and harvesting together. As a Black people, as a race, our hair grows up. Everybody else in the world, hair grows straight down. We are the natural leaders of the world. It is important that we take our place, that we stand up for what it is that we believe in, and then figure out a way to help those around us. So we are not just focusing on agriculture as the land, but as a people. So we're not just only talking to Black people, we're talking to anybody who's listening. Now, I am Black and I have to stay Black, and I'm going to be the best Black person I can be for everybody, okay? Because it doesn't matter what culture is watching, there is no culture without agriculture. And so that is very important as we move forward, that we recognize that. Ashley Scott, who is prominent in this world, I got in this field, I got that from her, because it's very important that we understand there is no culture without agriculture. We have to come together. We have to decide exactly what direction we're going to go in. So as natural leaders of the world, charge ourselves to come up with more creative solutions. We don't have to try to fix these crooked lines when we can create new systems that everybody can get on board with. This is not just something for one race, but it's for our American people, our culture, the world, and we don't want to leave anybody out as we move forward. So we're going to continue to talk about compliance and quality control as our focuses for this ag world. We're also going to, again, focus on how can we be more profitable in things that we're doing. Now that they're removing DEI, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, they're taking away minority initiatives. It is going to be about what we look like on paper. We have to get more organized. You have to know your strategies. So we're going to talk more in the future about building budgets. What does nonprofits look like? What does for-profits look like? And how, again, we can move those things toward our benefits. The bad is working for your good, the good is working for your good, and we have to focus on that. Just because you fail, that is an opportunity to learn. That doesn't mean that you did not do well, that you cannot succeed. They call me coach because I'm going to help you get to the end. I don't have to do the work. I can just show you that your form is wrong and that we need to revamp or stretch it out or take time so that we can go further, faster. That is very important to me. I was inspired to bring this podcast because knowledge is power. And we are falling under whatever people want to label us as, title us as, and we don't have to be subjected to anybody's push, oppression, anything that may stop us or hinder us, obstacles. We have been going up the rough side of the mountain long enough, figuring it out, trying to make a way out of no way. We've been doing that. Now it's time to do things the American way. And that's not a bad thing, because again, that's where the profitability lies. What we look like on paper, I cannot tell what color you are, but I can tell how organized you are. I can tell how prepared you are. No different than your resume, no different than your portfolio. All of these things have to be wrote out, and you need to be able to hand them to somebody so that they can read. So we're going to work towards that as well. Just not necessarily learning accounting, but the pieces to accounting that we need to put together the information that we can hand over to somebody to say, hey, this is what I need from you support-wise, whether it's financial, whether it's resources, whether it's volunteers. We're going to move in that direction. That is what Ag World is all about. So we're not just growing items or our products or enterprises. We will also be talking about growing our people, growing our families, coming together, creating generational wealth, coming together to decide exactly how we want to move as a people. It is time for us to mobilize or, again, come together. And Ag World is a place for you.
I think that is a very key point that you talked about, just as far as financial literacy and how key it is, because a lot of things that are happening around us with the stock market and with cryptocurrency, people aren't aware. So it's not about just growing agriculture, like you said, it's about growing as a people. We have to invest more in education with our children, because when we're sitting here and we have kids who are coming to school in a place that is not made for them to be successful financially, they're not teaching financial literacy on a consistent basis as much as they're teaching these things. They're just teaching them how to clock into a job and be a worker. It's not teaching you how to think for yourself and become an entrepreneur. And what does that look like? How do you create a marketing strategy? How do you create a business plan? How do you create a financial budget, and to be able to say, oh, I want to do this, I want to start this. They can't achieve those dreams if they don't have the tools in their toolkit to make it possible. And giving them the resources that they need and helping them to understand that it's about your work ethic. It's not, there's a fair playing field. Everybody has the same 24 hours in a day. We all have access to the same internet that has given us infinite resources. We all have access to AI that is now giving people the capacity to change the world. And so when we are able to allow them to not only use their resources just to, oh, you know, it's for fun, we're entertaining ourselves. No, we're using it to be a better person. We're using it to grow our family. We're using it to grow our business. And that's where we are as a whole. It's the campaign is not just about growing farming. We're growing everything. And so thank you so much, everyone, for tuning into the Ag Up Podcast, a place where we cultivate opportunities and empower the next generation of entrepreneurs. It is brought to you by Agripreneurs, a nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting farmers, ranchers, cooperatives, and everybody in their journey towards success. At Agripreneurs, our mission is simple yet powerful: to assist agricultural entrepreneurs in obtaining the grants and resources that they need to thrive in today's society. It's a competitive market, and that is why our vision is to pave the way for socially disadvantaged groups such as veterans, new farmers, and ranchers to break barriers and be able to vertically integrate into the agricultural industry. Through this podcast, we'll explore innovative solutions to help you ag up, from compliance and quality control tips to also partnering with greenhouse consultants to mastering grant preparation and management. You'll also hear about tools like the Green Box Record Keeping Kit and our incubator program that offers hands-on learning for agricultural pathways. And do not miss our insights on creating business plans and risk management strategies to take your farm or ranch to the next level. We would like to give a shout out to the Ag Up team, our host and Agripreneurs Nonprofit Executive Director, Kieran Simmons. Thank you so much. We would like to give a shout out to Daniel Finch, who is here today, our Natural Leaders Media Director. We really appreciate him for being here. Thank you to Jonelle Menifee, our Solar Time USA Climate Smart Ag Director, and our two other board directors, Brian Davis with Stealth Tech Services IT Solutions Director, as well as Millie Coleman, a part of our lead agriculture director.
Yes, thank you so much. And
Join
then I'm
us.
just gonna leave our contact information up at this time.
Join us each week as we spotlight success stories, interview industry experts, and provide actionable advice to empower your agriculture journey. It's time to add up. Really do find power to take the step in your agricultural journey. Remember, so thank you. Subscribe to our YouTube, like this episode, comment, takeaway, share it with some friends. This is right for farmers, ranchers, our families, our businesses together. Do not miss our next episode, same time, same place, where we'll continue cultivating opportunities and success. Until then, keep growing
and keep thriving.
See you next time on the Ag Up Podcast. Bye.
Peace.
She's talking about peace.
Are we even on the camera?
Peace, love, and
Are we on
blessings.
camera? No,
We're
we're
not
not
on
on
camera.
camera.
Get on the